Well, hello. I'm here as the father of the groom to tell you some things about Joel, share a bit of his life, my experience with him in life. Joel was born November the 28th in 1992 on a night when we were expecting a winter storm. At least if I remember the situation correctly, that's what happened at the occasion of his birth. And as it turned out, Joel himself created a bit of a winter storm for his parents. That's because Joel was a very unhappy infant. He cried almost incessantly and slept very little. We needed to be holding him all the time, and it was hard to manage life and sleep with him in those early days. If I remember this correctly, there was an event where his mother took him to the doctor to talk about how hard this was. And the doctor tried to console his mother by telling her that Joel was likely going to become a very successful lawyer. I think that the doctor was just trying to help mom feel better, but he also perhaps was thinking that this exemplified in Joel a characteristic that would be persistent and dogged, and some of that may in fact have been true. Joel has been with us for a good number of years now. I'm grateful for a lot of them. His growing up time, we were living in the small town of Landmark, and I think that he had a childhood that was comfortable and pleasant, and he was often, most times, a very enjoyable young child. He began school a little early, and his parents were unsure whether he was ready or not, but the kindergarten teacher, who was a fixture in Landmark, said, he's okay, he's all right, he's going to do okay. And he did do fine with school stuff. When he was beginning grade 1, our family moved to Guatemala. I thought I would tell you this detail. The junior high girls and high school girls in Guatemala in our school, we were in a kindergarten to grade 12 school where I was a teacher, and the girls, the older girls, thought that Joel was the cutest thing they'd ever seen, with his glasses and very short haircut and white skin, of course, and they thought he was quite terrific. Joel enjoyed school there, we think. He had good friendships. He continued on to be a pretty social young fellow, moving into elementary school when we moved to Calgary, and into his junior high years. Always seemed to have friends around and be in good relations with others. Joel's life changed dramatically. I was going to say, yes, Joel wondered if I could share some sort of memories of childhood, and my memory of Joel's sort of elementary and into junior high years were his eagerness to just play sports and to have me as dad join him. And in particular, his passion became playing some hockey, street hockey, and playing goal. He loved playing goal, and we often cleared the garage out of the cars out of the garage as cooler weather came in, and set up the hockey net in the garage, and I would take shots at him. He loved being a goalie, and he continued to enjoy playing goal and floor hockey later on into his young adult life too. Something that I appreciated doing with him. Also coached him in some junior high basketball and appreciated being able to do that with my son. As his sort of teen years drew on, we moved back to Winnipeg, and I lived with Joel for some time. Those were times where we had some good communication times together, and at that point in time, later in Joel's teen years, already in mid-teen years, we also played some music together. That's another memory that I share with Joel in his teenage years, let's say, when he began playing drums in our church worship team in Calgary, and on occasion I joined in with guitar and vocals, and on one occasion at least we joined together with a few other musicians for an entire package of music at a church event. Appreciated that about Joel. When we moved to Winnipeg, Joel would have been almost 18, I guess, and he very quickly connected with other young fellows who were interested in music, and for some time I provided rides for other musicians to come to our house where the drum set was, and music was played in the basement. Appreciated being able to assist Joel that way and be a part of his life. What also developed through the teenage and into young adult years was a rejection of the Christian faith that he had grown up with, that, of course, his parents hoped that he would hold on to. And so we lived with that experience. And then a few years ago, as Joel entered university and took some religion courses, he started to talk to me more about religion again, to sort of ask some questions and to relate things that he was hearing and learning and checking them with me. And we had some really good conversations, and it was exciting to see Joel consider faith options in his life again. And, of course, encouraging to me as his dad, involved in church ministry lots in my life, to see him return to a faith in Jesus, to choosing to follow Jesus in his life a few years ago. Tremendously grateful for that part of what has transpired in his life. And also really, if I'm thinking of this as a bit of a wedding speech, really glad that he has found a relationship with a solid Christian woman like Ashley, that they are embarking on life together with a desire to be faithful people to following Jesus, wanting that to be a significant piece of their life together. And I just wish them all the best and God's blessings as they begin a new chapter in life and develop a life together lived under the sun. And I'll conclude there.